Hey boys, girls, these are the equations from Thursday. Alright, so number one, we have 3m plus 15 equals 90. Let's subtract 15 from both sides. And we wind up with 3m still on the left side is equal to 75. Divide both sides by 3, and we have m equals 25. And don't forget, you can always check yourself. So if we say that m equals 25, then this says 3 times m, which is 3 times 25 plus 15. Well, 3 times 25 is 75 plus 15 is 90, and that's what it's supposed to be. So there you go. Next one, we have 7m plus 15 minus 4 equals 81. Let's simplify this right side because notice I have like terms here. I have 15 minus 4. So that gives me 7m plus 11 equals 81. I now subtract 11 from both sides. These cancel out because 11 minus 11 is 0. I'm left with 7m equals 70. Divide both sides by 7, and m is equal to 10. All right. The next one, number 3, we have 4 times 3n minus 7 equals 55. So let's distribute. Let's get rid of these parentheses. So we have to do 4 times 3n is 12n, and then 4 times negative 7 is negative 28 equals 55. All right, so now we're going to add 28 to both sides to get rid of that minus 28. So add 28, these cancel out. I'm left with 12n is equal to, that's going to be 83. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 12, and I'm left with n is equal to 83 twelfths. You guys can leave this as an answer. Some of you guys probably change this to a decimal just by doing 83 divided by 12. But you don't have to. You can leave it as an improper fraction just as long as you reduce the fraction. But there's no number that goes evenly into 83 and 12, so it's reduced all the way. All right. Number 4, we have 12n minus 5. So 12n minus 5 is equal to 7n plus 65. All right. So for here, we have variables on both sides. So I always like to take the variable on the right side and get rid of that. So minus 7n minus 7n. And just don't forget, you can't subtract the 7n from the 5 because they're not like terms. All right, so if I subtract 7n from both sides, these cancel out. I'm left with 5n minus 5 equals 65. And the reason why I always take the one from the right is because, again, if you look at this equation, I think everyone was probably okay with this, number 1. So if you look at this one, if I get rid of the variable on the right side, it goes back to the same type of equation. So we should be okay with that. So let's add 5 to both sides, and we're left with 5n equals 70. Let's divide both sides by 5, and we have n is equal to 14. All right, number 5, right? Yep. So 5, we have 6 times n minus 3 plus 7 equals 10n plus 20. So first thing, let's get rid of these parentheses. So we have 6 times n is 6n, 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, plus 7 equals 10n plus 20. Notice that on the left side here, I have like terms. I have a negative 8 and 7. So let's do 6n. So negative 8 plus 7 is going to be negative 11 equals 10n plus 20. All right. Let's get rid of the variable on the right side. So we're left with, we subtract 10n from both sides, minus 10n. These cancel out. I'm left with 4n minus 11 equals 20. All right, now let's get rid of this minus 11 by adding 11 to both sides. These cancel out. I'm left with 4n equals 31. We divide both sides by 4, and we have n equals 31 fourths. And there's your answer. All right. Okay, last one. That's the last one? Number 6. No, 2 more. Number 6. That's a long one. I can't believe I gave this one to you guys. I'm mean. So plus 8n equals 2 times 8n minus 4 plus 15. Wow. Not even sure I can do this one. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Let's get rid of the parentheses, okay? So negative 3 times n is negative 3n. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Plus 8n equals, get rid of these parentheses, so 2 times 8n is 16n, minus 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, plus 15. So hopefully we recognize that on both sides of this equation we can simplify. So we have negative 3n, look at that like terms here, we have negative 3n plus 8n, that's going to give me 5n. We have this plus 15 here equals, on this side we have the 16n, but then we have this negative 8n plus 15, which is going to be a positive 7. All right, so now I have this. So now, a lot of times people don't, when I always have to take the variable from the right side, some people like to make sure that the variable always stays positive. So they might say, let's subtract 5n from this side, all right, and then these cancel out. I'm left with 15 is equal to 11n plus 7. We now subtract 7 from both sides. These cancel out. I'm left with 8 equals 11n. Divide both sides by 11, and we have n is equal to 8 elevenths. All right. Okay. Last one. So we have 3/4 n minus 7/5 equals 7/10. So let's look at these denominators here. Again, we could just do this without, we can do this with fractions, but I think it's easier just to get rid of the fractions. So if you look at the denominator here, the denominators, we have 3 different ones, 4, 5, and 10. So what we got to do is we got to pick the smallest number that 4, 5, and 10 will evenly go into, and that's 20. So that means I'm going to take this whole equation and multiply it by 20. And the way I do that is just by doing this. I'll take this first denominator, 4, goes into 25 times. 5 times 3 is 15. So this 3/4 n becomes 15n. Now we have 5 goes into 24 times. 4 times 7 is 28. So now this becomes minus 28. And then 10 goes into 22 times. 2 times 7 is 14. And there you go. So now let's add 28 to both sides. That gives us 15n equals 42. We divide both sides by 15, and n is equal to 42/15, but I can reduce that because 3 goes into both of them evenly. So that's going to reduce to 14/5. All right. So, because 3 goes into 42 14 times, no, 15, yeah, 14 times. And 3 goes into 15 5 times. So there you go. If you have any questions, please email me.